Hi, today I'm going to do a product review. What happens is, if you have a YouTube channel, companies contact you, they want to send you one of their products, you do a review of it on YouTube, and then you get to keep that product. Since I started YouTubing, I've perhaps been offered something like 30 items, only 2 of which have I accepted to do a review of, and this is the second one. The reason I don't tend to do them is, first of all, I don't particularly enjoy it. I prefer talking about how to photograph wildlife rather than gear. But secondly, nobody's ever sent me a Sony f4 600mm lens. I might change my policy. So today we're going to do a review of a Hollyland Lark M1 wireless microphone. Now, ever since I started YouTubing, I've been using a wireless mic. I bought the Rode Wireless Go, and it's been very good, very reliable, connects first time, every time, sound quality is good. I've been very happy with it until the last few weeks, and it's simply the on-off button has been playing up. I can't switch it on easily and I can't switch it off. It's a simple button you depress and hold, and it should switch it on or toggles it off, whichever, but it's just not working properly. Sometimes I can spend about a minute trying to get it to start up or close down. So I started looking at what was available on the market, and I particularly wanted one that would have 2 microphones. The one I've got is just a single microphone and receiver. I want 2 because there's been several occasions I've wanted to film somebody else, so we're both talking to camera. So just a coincidence, they sent me this Hollyland, and it's a dual one. In fact, I specified to them I want the dual one with 2 microphones. So it comes in a very nice, very handy grey case, which is a little on the large size really when you're thinking of squeezing this into your camera bag, but inside there's a much smaller case as well. And this contains the main things, the 2 microphones and the receiver. You can't get the little cable that you need to connect to the camera in that case, and you can't put the wind socks on it either. That's a shame because it's a much smaller, neater case. The case is very well built. That's a very solid piece of plastic. I can't see that breaking so readily. And what I really like about this is you've got all 3 items in there, and you can charge these items independently, but you don't need to. You put them in the case, and there's a USB-C socket on the bottom, and you can charge all 3 items up at the same time. And that's a huge advantage over the Rode system, where I have to charge each item up individually. So that's a huge step forward. The other thing I really like about it is, as soon as you take the item out of the box, it switches on automatically, all 3 of them. And I love automation. I love simple things like that. I can't forget to switch it on. I don't have to sit there pressing buttons. They are already live, they're already connected to each other. So I mentioned the windsock. That was a big problem on the Rode one, the Wireless Go. The windsock always fell off. I gather after I bought mine, they put it right on future versions of it. And I used to watch these YouTube films that told you how to fit the windsock, but it never worked for me. It always used to fall off. This one does feel a lot more substantial. It doesn't tell you in the manual, unfortunately. When I say the manual, there's just a tiny bit of instructions here that comes with it, but it doesn't tell you how to fit the windsock. So it took a bit of working out as to which was the best way to put it on, but there's a slight cutout in the rubber here, and that goes on the opposite side to where the microphone aperture is, where the little grid is. And once that's on, that does tend to feel pretty solid. I can't imagine that coming off too readily. It's a shame it just can't fit in there with that on, because I'm never going to take it off. I'm only ever recording out of doors. I need a windsock on. If you haven't got a windsock on, the slightest little breeze creates a lot of noise as it goes across the microphone. So we have 2 microphones. They seem to be well built enough. Of course, I'm not going to know until I've used it a while. I tend to be very rough with my equipment. If anybody's going to break this, it'll be me. The only thing I could imagine breaking is the clip where it clips onto your lapel here, just like that. Maybe that's going to prove to be a bit flimsy. I don't know. Time will tell. Otherwise, it's very simple to use. You can charge each item up independently, so there is another USB-C socket in here. Since the batteries last for 8 hours in each device, I can't imagine I'm ever going to want to charge them up during the day. Now there's a blue light on the microphone that tells us we're connected to the receiver, which is going to be sitting on top of the camera. On the side we have an on-off switch, so you can switch it off independently, and then there's a yellow button next to it. If we press the yellow button just briefly, it puts the noise reduction on, and the blue light on the top turns to green. Press it again, we go back to noise reduction off. I'll do a quick demonstration as to whether the noise reduction is working or not, whether it's effective. And also that yellow button allows you to resynchronize should you ever lose the signal. Now I'm not expecting to lose the signal, the Rode one never did, I don't see why this one ever should either. And you have to hold that yellow button down for 3 seconds, and the same on the receiver. There's a similar button on the receiver, you hold that down for 3 seconds and then they should start talking to each other again if they was to ever lose the signal. And that's about it when it comes to buttons and features on the microphone. On the receiver, first of all, there's a socket, a jack plug socket. That's where the short cable goes from the receiver to your camera. There's an on-off switch next to that. On the other side you've got a volume control. Now by default it sets to the medium level on the volume. There's only 3 settings: high, medium, low. So every time you switch this off and on, and it doesn't tell you this in the manual, so I had to do this by trial and error, but switch it off, switch it back on, always sets to the medium level. So that's probably what I'm always going to use it on. But you can override that. You can hit the plus button to put it up to the high level, and you can hit the minus button to put it down to the low level. So there's 2 buttons there for that. Now the right hand button, the one that's marked M, if you press that it goes into mono mode. At the moment it's in stereo mode. Press that button, oh sorry, press and hold that button rather for 3 seconds. The lights should change. Yes, they've gone green, so now I'm in mono mode. I'm going to be in stereo mode, so I press the button for 3 seconds, it changes it back to stereo mode. Yep. Now the other button, the one that's the plus for the volume, that also functions to reconnect to the microphone. So if you've got that problem, that's the button you hold down for 3 seconds. And again there's a USB-C charging point next to that. And you've got a clip that goes into the hot shoe onto your camera. The kit comes with 3 cables. First of all, there's a charging cable with the USB-C socket. This one is for connecting to an Android phone, where you've got a jack plug on each end, and the other one with the jack plug on each end is for connecting to the camera. So that's the one that I'm going to be using. If I show you a size comparison with the Rode system, you can see that it uses up a lot less space, and it's a very, very lightweight bit of kit. Now this works up to 200 meters. I haven't been able to test it at 200 meters. I haven't got that big a gap here, but the gap I'm going to use now is about 100 meters, probably just over 100 meters long. So we'll just try that now and see if the signal works. But I've heard very good reviews about it. It does work apparently at 200 meters. That must depend upon the atmospheric conditions, or if you're in a room full of people, that's got to reduce the distance that it will travel. But it's a very long way, and I don't normally stand more than 10 meters away from my camera when I'm talking to it. And this is about 100 meters. In fact, I think it's slightly more than 100 meters. Have I found anything I don't like about it? No, not really. You can't fit an external microphone to the microphone like you can with the Rode, which is what I'm doing at the moment. This is an external mic plugged into the transmitter of my Rode Wireless Go. But I only do that because I can't fit the windsock to the Rode. So I have an external mic with a windsock instead. Well, I can just do away with that now because the windsock will fit this one. So that's not really a problem. So we'll do a bit of simple testing of the microphone, starting off by looking at the noise cancellation. Does it have any effect? So to test out the noise cancellation, I've come to a very noisy motorway bridge. Lots of traffic down below me, as you can hear very clearly. So now I'm going to press the yellow button on the side of the microphone to put on the noise cancellation to see if it makes any difference. The volume is set to medium. Okay, noise cancellation is now on. Just one quick press does the job. Can you hear any difference? I'm not going to know the answer to this until I get home. The noise reduction certainly worked. As soon as I pressed that button, you could hear there was less background noise. You could probably do just as good a job on the computer in post-production, but very often it's just more convenient. Next time I'm in a noisy environment, which is not very often, but when it happens, I'll be pressing that button. It does seem to have the right effect. But the other thing we need to know is what is the overall sound quality. Well, that's a fairly simple test. I can compare it against the Rode Wireless Go. So I have two identical camera bodies, OM1s. I'm going to put the Rode on this one, and I've already got the Hollyland set up on that one, and I'll film myself talking to camera at the same time. I haven't got the same lenses on, so I'll probably keep the visual from the one camera and put the soundtrack onto it from the other camera as we compare it. So I'm filming myself now, talking to both cameras at once. I've got the two lapel mics on next to each other, and when I get home I'm going to be able to compare the two. But at the moment I have no idea. If I had headphones with me, then I could perhaps compare the difference here. But I don't own such a thing, so I'm just going to have to keep talking now, and I have no idea what to talk about. You can say testing, 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 1, 2, 3, but you can only say that so many times. So can you hear a sound difference? Is one better than the other? The wireless Hollyland one is on medium level from the volume point of view, and the other one, the Rode, you don't have any control over it. It does tend to clip the soundtrack a bit, so probably medium is going to sound better from that point of view. But anyway, I've run out of things to say. If you can't tell the sound difference by now, you never will. That's it. That's my very simple test of the two microphones, and I think it's quite conclusive. The quality from the Rode microphone is superior. It's a richer sound. Whether it's worth the extra money, because there is a big price difference. I looked it up yesterday. I could buy the Hollyland dual system for £114, whereas the Rode dual system was about £240. Is it worth the extra money for that small difference in quality of the sound? And perhaps in post-production I can do something to boost the richness of the sound. I'm just not that knowledgeable about sound. It's just not something I know much about. Thanks for watching.